I told you, as I told you, people don't want to listen to the quote of analysts. I am being cocky. We won. Like, goodness gracious. I am tired of losing. And I know the negative Nancy's will come and say, hi Impilo, you won by an own goalie. You can't sit here. If we had considered a goal and we had considered a goal via an own goal, say Ungezana had scored an own goal, people were going to say, yeah, own goal FC. We don't care. We won the game. That's what matters at this point. That's what matters to me. Right now, we are at the same, we have the same number of points with the Pirates, 31 points. And that's more important to me than how we won. I just wanted us to win. Now, we are going to talk about the points of the game, going through them one by one, and basically see what I thought about the game. And also I would like to hear what you guys thought of the game. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I'm your host. This is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. I'm a Khosi Football Club. And yes, we're reacting to the win. Kaizer Chiefs, SOWETO DERBY against the Orlando Pirates. A game that I knew we were not going to be bashed by 3-0, 4-0, but at the same time I was a bit nervous, and I got even more nervous at some point in the game. I'll tell you what happened when I got more nervous. Starting 11, Uzwane made a right decision, right? Because he just took Ukwinika and played him at right back. And can I just give him his flowers? If a player plays bad, I will criticize him. If he plays and is solid enough, I will give him his flowers also, because he played much better, way better as a right back. And I will give you that, Kwinika. Today you performed well, my brother, and yeah, I won't complain. He played well there. And as well, send a partnership got Dove as well as Ungezana it also worked well, because if you look at Ungezana, he's much better in competing for the balls and aerially and Ama 1v1, so it did well. And there wasn't a problem. And I also think physicality Ungezana was supposed to help with the second balls that end up bouncing around if they are being lost behind the defensive midfield line here too. So then they would sweep up and not over those balls, which worked pretty well. You had two very pacey, very aggressive players playing as center backs. And Uhlanti was, well, Uhlanti. you know Uhlanti is going to give you a performance. He's not going to give you a performance, but at least today we can say Uhlanti didn't cost us a game. So what I found interesting also is that Uzwane today finally he played with Dupree through the middle, right? And we will talk about what that did for Chiefs in the game. And he also played Usail on the right, which is something that we've been saying. Sahil should be playing on the right because he plays better as a winger. And we saw him doing that, and we saw him taking players on. We saw him be more aggressive. Yes, in second half, he wasn't that much present, but towards the end of the match, then we started seeing him being more aggressive because he again wanted to win the game. So there again, players deserve flowers for such things, but second half, he just disappeared a bit. But overall, with how the team set up, Uzwane did better. And I always say this, Uzwane, when it comes to his plan A is always good. And I said this, we pre-match preview, Zwane's pre-match plan is always better usually than the opponent. But then we just mess up in the game once we realize, the person we're playing against is not as easy as we probably thought. And then stuff just happens. So today, coming on in the game, we started well. And I saw this interesting thing when the game started. Like, it was, Balandel were happy. Like, game has started, SOWETO DERBY, let's go. And what actually happened is the Kaizer Chiefs players, they just played the ball, kicked it to the keeper, played it to Dove. I'm slowing it down because that's like what they were doing. Like, yeah, it was like that. And I thought this was intentional because I've seen Brighton play football like that. Brighton in England, one defender will just get the ball and put his foot on the ball and just wait for you until you can press them. And I thought that was what Chiefs were trying to do. And Uzwane kind of alluded to that was the plan, but it wasn't really the plan because Zwane said they showed too much respect to Pirates. But I think that worked well. Uguti, they were baiting press from Pirate. Uguti, let's get them to move out of position and try to press us. And the moment they press us, that means if the forward line moves forward, that means our midfielders will also follow, and then the defenders will also follow. You see what's happening? There's a space that's opening up, and who's playing through the middle for Chiefs is Dupree. And what does Dupree has? A pace. And we saw that a lot of times. Every time a Pirates got tempted to pressing us, then they'll leave that space and then would get chances which would then miss. I'm just gonna say the plan Gazwan, I'm pointing out these things were set out. The Pirates were like set up to step right into these traps, and they did fall into those traps, but then we are the ones who did not capitalize in those traps because we got chances like where we like through the ball was played behind the defensive Pirates, and then that was it. We're running at them, but then we failed to convert those chances. Guys, please do like the video so that more people like you can see the video. You have no idea how much it helps me. Like if I get, let's say 4,000 views here, let's just get 500 likes and see Uzobona, it will even explode even more video if it gets more likes. So please just like the video. It really helps me. Okay, let's move on to the next thing that happened is that Pirates then got a poor an early break earlier on in the game, but Dove recovered very well. And again, that ball was lost because of some clumsiness at the back, but luckily Dove recovered. Again, that is why we missed Dove, because he's so good when it comes to recovering, like tracking back and running. And the pace really does help Chiefs in those issues. And then there was that other turnover again where Dupree got the ball and he was running behind, and I was like, okay, this is a goal, this is a goal, this is a goal. I'm like, Ashley, why did you try and shoot? Because the angle wasn't allowing. The angle wasn't allowing at all. You have two mistakes here. First of all, you could have played that pass early because the passing lane wasn't blocked. But the second thing that he could have done was to cut the ball back into the 6-yard area. But then the secondary problem is that there was no one attacking the 6-yard area. Utol was ngale kwi-far post, and then Usail was through the middle, but no one was pulling back to wait for the ball to be cut back, which is a really bad thing because the passing lane to Utol was already closed, and the passing lane to Usail was also closed. But it was a 3v2, which means one player could have just pulled back because they were not going to let Dupree cross the ball. So one was going to press. Still, it was going to be 2v1 against the other defender. So the defender was going to have a struggle to mark the right player. But then we messed it up. At the end of the day, it might seem like these things don't matter, but I have to point them out when we won, because a lot of people have been saying, Mpelo, we have been having these problems, but we don't talk about them when we win. So we won, but I will still talk about these things that were not so good, but I will also talk about the things that were really good for us, because the fact that we got into that position in the first place, it's because we're executing the strategy in a way that Uzwane had planned it out for the players. And guys, is star, ne. I will say this, Uguti, there is Uguti today, he wasn't shining as much because he was playing against one of the best defensive midfielders in the league, Utim, because he was monitoring him at every moment. But whenever got the ball, you could hear the crowd cheer for him, because when he gets the ball, I felt like Tebe, when they get the ball, they try and do the right things. But when gets the ball, there's confidence oozing, Uguti, yeah, I have the ball on Funa against the game. So whenever he was allowed to have his space, he would get the ball and then he would get the crowd going. Yes, he did make a mistake here and there, but at the end of the day, if all our players had as much confidence as that boy, then everyone would be scared to play against the Chiefs, because they'll know with every player who's playing for the Chiefs is playing with confidence. So I just want to give him to his flowers as well, Guti. The fact that it's a SOWETO derby, but when Msakwazi ukuthi uvele uthole ibhola uligibele and look for a pass and then play the pass, right? We're not promoting ukuthi abantu abavele bashow off for no reason. But sometimes if you don't have an option, like I told you this, ukuthi, if could deposit 5% of his football intelligence to Sehot, you would see a different Sehot, because Umtu knows ukuthi I'm not gonna force my way through if there's no way. So he's gonna like do something and find the pass and play a better pass. And in that way, people are scared of marking him. And Utim did a good job in other cases where he stopped him from going forward. But at the end of the day, we did do well in terms of Umtu. And then Udove, there was that time Udove being sloppy, because that's another thing. Quick game Udove, he needs to stop being sloppy, and he slipped. He was being sloppy, and then it was the 10th minute. The guy was offside. I think there was another turnover by Dupree earlier on, which I didn't even mention because moving on to Usail gets the chance on the 30th minute and wasn't expecting the ball, which was disappointing because you are the last man behind all the defenders and the ball bounces off of you and you are not expecting the ball. Hear me, Khosi. Not trying to be negative. I'm pointing out to good, if we had drawn this game, these chances would have haunted us, Uguti. We should have, because I was writing these points not knowing what the outcome of the game was going to be. So I'm not saying these things to be critical of the players. I'm saying them to say we could have done better in this regard, Uguti. We're supposed to finish our chances much better and not be sloppy in those situations. And then again, Udoli got it through ball again. Ashley played the ball behind Udoli. Again, there was that space they were exploiting behind the defense, a Pirate, and then Udupre plays the ball, El Bedayo, and then it ends up being under the legs of Udoli. And second half obviously comes out and Undlondlo was about to be subbed. This was before the red card. The commentator says, oh, okay, Undlondlo is about to be subbed. And that's evidence you're good in midfield here to really managed in midfield here Pirates much better. And again, we always talk about Matt and Stebe, maybe they are not a good combination, yada. But today, they were able to manage midfield the Pirates because if their most creative player had nothing to do to a point that they wanted to bring in a defensive player to strengthen that place, it shows that we're bullying them, we're aggressive, and we're not giving them a sniff at the ball. And Undlondlo just got bullied, they were bullying him. Everyone, like that it was horrible, but we were making sure that they know to Kaizer Chiefs and we wanted to win the game. So that was the thing that was happening. And I have to say, by the way, while we're here, Uguti, at some point the team did look like they were afraid of losing the game and they were not pushing that much to win it. But they were too overcautious at times. That's just a thought that came to my mind because when the game was towards the end, I was like, oh, what's going on? These guys are not doing what I want them to do. But as a collab, while we're here, guys, if you want to support this channel, you can do that by liking the video. You can do that by subscribing to the channel. But you can also do that by becoming a channel member. It's only 20 rands. If you become a channel member, you get early access to your content. You get loyalty badges next to your name when you comment, and you also get priority responses when it comes to our comment. And comment and members will be getting priority. Will be prioritized in terms of our comments about being read because, well, they are contributing also to the channel and to me making this video. So please do click the link that's on the description or also on the pinned comment. That's how you can become a member. It's only 20 rands per month. So thank you very much. Then we move on to Umayela gets a red card again. We were out there to utilize the space behind the Pirate. And it was working over and over again. And that ball is played over. Sahil was going to be one-on-one with the keeper. Was he going to miss or what? Because it looked like he had controlled the ball well and the keeper was too close to his goal line. So he wasn't going to rush out in time. I think Sahil was going to get that ball, maybe end up missing in any case. But the point is, we got those spaces and were able to exploit. Look at what I wrote when that red card happened. Oh my God, can it focus? Can you see? Space behind, focus, come on. It's focusing on me. I don't want it to focus on me. I want to show you something. Yeah, there it is. It says space behind and I wrote, oh hey. I wrote oh hey because it was a red card and I was like, oh hey, oh my God. We're playing against 10 men again. That's why I started being nervous, like, oh, this again. That was the way I felt. These guys are not going to win this game now. And Velek, from that moment on, I was shocked. They just slowed the game down. That was the moment where I was like, these guys are just scared of losing to a 10-man team. So now they are just... And at that moment, a few moments later, because it was like the 65th minute, I think, yeah. I was like, yes, Sekgotha needs to come in. And I know it sounds hypocritical for me to say Sekgotha come in. I just said he needs 5% of Mdu's intelligence. Because I wanted the pace again because we were still getting our chances behind the Pirates. But I will say there was a plumbing thought on my side because at the time, the Pirates were about to play deep, right? It was clear the Pirates were about to play deep. I feel like a player who would have better suited coming on at that time would have been Marciano because he has a better delivery into the box because Sekgotha again, he gets in, down the line, gets in, down it didn't matter whether there was space all the time. He just goes down the line, which we've been saying in games that we've lost. Don't do that, bro. Don't do that, bro. Don't try to go down the line. Just see. There was a time where even Uhland was shouting at him, come on, come and get the ball, because he's always trying to run in behind even when there's no space in behind to run into. So I think KG just needs to look at that. And this one, I think he did a good thing in this time by sapping Udoli early because we had a yellow card and he wasn't tracking back as much. And I was kind of disappointed in him, Uguti, when he got that yellow card. Uguti, he was the one who was being asked, come down, Dolly, come down, Dolly. Like, that shouldn't happen. You're the captain of the team and you're the one who's supposed to be calming people down and not being calmed down by other people. So it was a bit disappointing. And another thing, as much as I gave Ukweneka his flowers beginning of this video, vision yake is really bad. Like, he does not spot our runners quick enough. Because you have Umtu running into space. You have Sahil running into space. You have Utupre trying to run. You have all these guys just running kulama channels, like lama pockets of spaces. These guys... he doesn't see them. He's still pushing the ball. So with that regard going forward, I think we just need to improve that a lot. And then Caleb comes on in the 77th minute and I'm like, okay, good that we're subbing someone, but I'm like, oh, it's Caleb. Right? I'm like, oh, it's Caleb. We know what's going to happen. But then in my head, I'm like, once again, why are we bringing on Caleb and we're not bringing on a player like Marciano who's going to supply for him? Because Uzwane, when he comes out at the end of the game, he's talking about how Uhlanti was not being supplied, was not supplying like runs going forward. But yeah, he was talking about going forward basically. That's why we brought on Marciano. But he could have brought on Upimenyimana and Marciano at the same time. Because already you are bringing in Upimenyimana. But you see Sekgotha Vele is not that great when it comes to deliveries. Play Sekgotha on the right so that he can cut in and not always try to go wide. Or keep it to play on the right. Sekgotha, where does he play? Play Sekgotha on the right, keep it to play through the mid. By the way, Dupre was tired. He should have been subbed now. Because a few times I saw him holding Amatolo, his knees, which told me this guy is tired by why one is not subbing him. Was supposed to take him out as well. And then keep Sekgotha on the right. Bring on Marciano. I was even thinking here on the left, but he ended up bringing him on the left. So I thought if you bring on Caleb, then just have everyone who's going to be able to pass the ball to him. Because Caleb, there was a time where he got the ball and he couldn't trap the ball correctly because there was Usail running behind and he had a whistle. He ended up handling the ball. Like Caleb is a legend, guys. But Uzwane, that time on the 77th minute was supposed to bring in Umashiane as well at that time, because bringing in Caleb who's going to supply him, and eventually Mashiane comes in on the 85th minute. Again, this thing that I was saying, usually this time around, he didn't take out Umdu, he didn't take out Usail, but he still did bring on Mashiane like on the 85th minute to be the way maker, miracle worker. He's not Jesus. He's not going to be a promise keeper in the light in the darkness. He's just a guy who's trying to prove himself. But if you give him 10 minutes to prove himself, that's like pushing it, because he's going to be desperate to make a difference. Give him 20 minutes to try and do something, 25 minutes to make a change in the game, because again, we are one man up. So make some changes. What I will say I found impressive is that he did sacrifice one of the midfielders today. So bravo for that. We're going to do our ratings and talk about all these things. And then while I don't know whether I was drinking water or I was like, let me prepare for the video. How Dove plays the ball into the box, and then Da heads the ball backwards, and then the keeper doesn't get the ball. Now, this is where people will say, it's just luck. Yeah. Some people define luck as when opportunity meets preparedness or whatever. So we have a situation where Caleb, again, he did well in that regard. We have a situation where Caleb is putting the defender under pressure, and on top of that, Usail is also running across. So basically, it's 2v2. I'm a defender, and then there's a ball coming up, and then Unda is trying to do the best that he can by heading the ball to the keeper, not knowing what the keeper is no longer goal line, and then ends up scoring an own goal. You gotta feel for him, by the way, because even the other time last season, he's the one who committed a pen and then ended up winning the game. But I will say this, Abantu will say it's luck, but it was the ball delivered into the box, in which we then put pressure in the player who was supposed to play the ball, and then we scored a goal. It's a goal nevertheless. And then on the 91st minute, I know it's like 4 minutes remaining before the game ends. Sakhota is wasting his card. If you're gonna waste his card, you know how to waste his card, right? Don't just take the ball to the corner and then end up losing it. Rotate the ball around, like pass the ball, because now they have a chance to build from the back. But if you're passing the ball even to your keeper, and then Pirates is desperate, they are trying to press us, then that's why we can hit them again on the count. I feel like if you're gonna try and go to the corner, you have to have a support, or you have to be big enough to hold the ball in the corner. I'm just gonna say that, because I don't want this thing we waste this card and we end up regretting it, because I feel like it's in our mentality we just waste time because we want to waste time. But overall, I thought the game was well planned in the first half, but for some reason our players just became scared of winning the game. But regardless of losing, we did win the game, and I will take that to the next game. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought down on the comment section below, and until next time, remember to like the video. Khosi. Alpelumoya. Alpelumoy. Look at that. 2 takes. I'm excited.